Welcome to the Building Materials Sales and Marketing Podcast, presented by Mark Mitchell, a sales and marketing consultant who specializes in helping building materials companies overcome difficult sales problems. Mark is the author of the book Building Materials Channel Marketing and a frequent speaker at industry events.
Hello, this is Mark Mitchell from Wizard Strategy. I'm really excited today. I've got a really special guest. If you sell residential building materials and lumber dealers are important to you, this is going to be a session you're not going to want to miss. One of the things that I've liked about being locked down in my house, if you will, is I've become addicted to YouTube. I've literally stopped watching television, and who wants to watch the news today anyway? And I've discovered a whole new group of people on YouTube. And one of the things that we talk about algorithms, I guess, is something that's sometimes bad. But one of the things that I like about an algorithm is it shows me people and YouTube videos that I might didn't know they existed. And so a couple months ago, all of a sudden YouTube said, you might like this video. And I look and I go, here's a guy sitting in the front seat of his car with some blue fuzzy dice. And it says the Uneducated Economist. And I'm kind of like, but the subject line was like, why lumber prices are rising. And another one was something about housing starts. And I thought, oh, that interests me. And so I subscribed and I started watching the Uneducated Economist on YouTube, which I encourage, if you're in building materials, I encourage you to also check Simon out on the Uneducated Economist on YouTube. Now, he's like part of Simon is he's talking about things like debt and ratios and bond rates and all this. And I don't know what he's talking about. It's like over my head, right? But then he does get down to, he talks a lot about our industry. And the other day, several days ago, he did a 2-part series that I highly recommend you watch, which is how to get the best deal from a lumber dealer. So if you're a builder or contractor, it's like, and you want to get a better deal, you're a smaller guy or something, he laid it out with a really great, straightforward way to do it. I also found that if I was selling to a lumber dealer, just listening to how Simon described how to get a better deal, it's like how a lumber dealer operates. And you can walk in many times and think, well, I've got this product and it's really important. Lumber dealers have to carry it. Well, kind of bullshit, right? It needs to fit into their overall business. So I thought I'm going to get Simon to tell us if to a building material manufacturer, a company, a brand, and if lumber dealers are important to you, I want to hear from Simon his thoughts on what what building material companies can do better to be more successful with lumber dealers. Simon, welcome to the show.
Hey, great to be here. Thank you, Mark. That was a great intro. I really liked it. I was very entertained listening to you. Thank you.
Well, you're very entertaining, and I love the way that you speak, and I can understand. Except when you get into that, like you and the Secretary of the Economy or whatever should be talking, or Chase Manhattan's chairman. I don't know what you're talking about, but when you start talking about building and lumber dealers, you're talking very understandable. So I really like that.
Yeah, well, I've been in the lumber supply industry pretty much my whole life. I got a job when I was a senior in high school down at the local lumber yard, and I've pretty much been doing that my whole life, off and on doing construction too. So during the times I wasn't working doing lumber supplies, I was putting the stuff together. Yeah. So I have a pretty good understanding of like both the lumber supply and the actual construction industry being part of both of it. The only thing I really haven't done is gone up a little farther, work in mills or say logging or any of the wholesale distribution. I haven't gone to that level yet, but still have my opportunities maybe.
Oh yeah. Well, or who knows? Maybe you're going to become a YouTube star or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Somebody called me a YouTube celebrity the other day and I'm like, whoa, I never thought of myself as a celebrity,
Yeah, right. Kind of scary. Hey, well, you know what? I had a little series of playing questions, but I just want to start with Simon, what advice would you give building material companies that want to be more successful with lumber dealers? Let's just start there.
Well, I tell you, the biggest success that I have with my vendors, the guys who sell to me, are the ones who I mean, I don't know. It all comes down to a lot of times this is sales, and sales is a lot of times it's a show or it's an act. And whether they're acting or for real, the guys who want to take care of me, the guys who feel that they care, the guys who listen and react to the things that I say, those are the ones who usually get my business. Now, there is several different vendors that I can use to buy, say a particular product, but one of them I remember the phone number to. You see where I'm getting at?
Yes, exactly.
It was just like I always go to them, and it's really hard for me to deviate from that because they always take care of me. And it gets down to the point that I've done it for years working with this one vendor that I almost feel bad by going to another one. And if you can build that kind of relationship, that's rock solid.
Wow.
Now, how to get in on that, this is going to be very difficult because many times I've had salesmen come to me from particular companies who want to try and, for me to even just sell their product, not even carry it. Like they don't even want me to order and stock it. They just want me to special order it in. And I've had I don't want to name names or anything like that because I don't know who's listening.
Let's not do that. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And just to kind of give you an example of it, this particular salesman, I worked for 3 different lumber yards. I remember he came into all 3 of them pushing his product. The nicest guy you could ever meet. He remembered everybody's name, knew everything about what was going on in the industry and could totally talk. Never once ever bought his product. Not one time. He didn't have products that I needed. They weren't necessarily the best price. And, he didn't really have a good scheduled delivery to me. So I never bought his product. One time, just one product that he ever had that I was able to finally put an order in with him. And he wasn't ecstatic about it. He was just very nice and friendly. He says, hey, let me know when you need some more of that stuff. Here's some other brochures. And he continued on. He never changed his sales tactic, not one time. And I have to give it to the guy. I mean, to me, that was a very hardworking salesman. I wish I could have given him more sales, but it just wasn't there for us. And so sometimes there's just some things you just can't do. You're just you're going to try as hard as you can. You're not going to be able to break that. But if it was my advice to somebody, it's to make sure that you are going to take care of them as if it's what is the old sales tactic? Make me feel important.
Yes, right, exactly.
Make me feel important. If you want me to sell your product, make me feel like I am the most important person in the entire world. And most likely you're going to get that sale. You're going to get it from me. And ultimately what it comes down to me, and I don't know if I'm skipping ahead because I don't want to just kind of take over. One of the things when it comes to me, I have a customer who's standing in front of me and I have the power of the world right there. I can make or break your product right now. And yes. I'm not trying to break anybody. I'm trying to provide the customer with what they want. I want to provide the customer with the best product at the best price and try and make some money in between. And everybody walks away happy. That's my goal. Now, when I have a customer who comes to me and says, hey, you have several different options, and I'm just going to pick this one out of example, vinyl windows, right? Yes. How many vinyl window options do you have? Well, I got 4 different vinyl vendors that I can, vinyl window vendors that I can use. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to use just one of these. Now, if you want, I'll get pricing and I will order from whoever you want. And if you want to go with the cheapest one, that's fine by me. But if it was me, I would go with the one that I am suggesting, because anytime that I have ever had a problem, because it's not a matter of if, but when you do, because it's a vinyl window and you're going to have springs that don't work or a blemish in the glass or something that's wrong with it that needs to be replaced. And when you call 1-800 and I give them the name and I tell them, if you do not like what you hear, you call me back. Right. And I never get a call back.
Wow.
I sell more of those windows than any other window. I don't even try to sell the other ones because of that success that I have. I never get a call back. They take care of the customer after the purchase, and that is all I need to know. And if the price of the window is a few $100s more, when I tell the customer that, they're willing to pay it.
Wow.
So that's how I do my sales. I'm not necessarily looking for to make the most money. I don't make commission, so I don't, I'm trying to make the store money because, I want to make my boss happy and get raises and go on vacations and do stuff like that.
Yes.
But I don't make commission. So it's not important to me to make the most off of the sale. What's important to me is to make sure that the customer is happy with that sale and that they are going to continue to be happy if something goes wrong with the sale afterwards, because it's easy to do a sale, but it's hard to deal with the problem. And that's where the big issue for me comes in as far as trying to take on a new product. It's just like, you're asking me to sell a brand new product that's never been heard of before. And I'm supposed to put my trust and faith and, and confidence behind this thing and sell it to a customer. Yeah, try. It's going to take a minute. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be
right.
for you to do that.
Oh, I want to back up a second.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
If I call that 800 number, so
Mhm.
you say to the customer, call this 800 number like you did. I love that. What happens on that call?
Okay. So I have never had to call that number myself, but I
Yes.
have asked, what did you hear? Were they nice to you? Stuff like that. And
Yes.
so the response that I have back from the customer was, oh yeah, they were very nice. They schedule a time. They'll be out, blah, blah, blah. They'll be out on a certain day. And I'm like,
Yes.
and that's it. And they say,
Wow.
now
That's-
there was one where it was a very complicated situation.
Yes.
The window that they had ordered was not a vinyl window. It was one of their, it was a very, all I can just say, it was complicated. I couldn't even try to explain it over the phone.
Right.
But that was the only issue that I ever had. And in the end, the company did take care of the customer. It was the customers were happy. The contractors were happy. I was happy. But the way it went down necessarily wasn't exactly desirable.
Yes.
But in the end, when you have to when it's all said and done, you have to say, was everybody happy? Was the problem solved? And if you say yes to that, then hey, that's a business deal. Things happen. You got to take the good with the bad. And as long as everybody is okay in the end, and the problem is solved, then we can continue to do business. And that's what happens.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest misconception or misunderstanding that building material companies have about lumber dealers?
I thought about that because because you kind of asked me some of these questions ahead of time, and I kind of thought about that a little bit, and I'm not exactly sure what truths they may believe that I have factual beliefs against. So I don't know. Maybe if you had some examples of that,
one I want to ask you, which is a really interesting one that I asked a builder this a couple of months ago, and he said the biggest misconception that building material companies have is that we're all the same. So a builder is a builder. So a lumber dealer is a lumber dealer. Like the lumber dealer that Simon works for is in a part of the country, and they do certain things. They sell windows. Other lumber dealers don't sell windows. They are focused on, they have a showroom. They don't have a showroom. They're trying to do new home packages. They have a big deck department, whatever. And he's like, they don't take the time to even look at our website ahead of time and go, okay, what makes, this lumber dealer unique? And
I see where, okay. Yeah, I kind of see what you're going with
that's
on that.
just one answer with a misconception and then I started to ask architects and roofing contractors, and they go, "Oh my, Mark, you're right. That they all see us as the same." They don't take the time to go, "What makes this company unique?" So how do they maybe compete with a big box? Who's their competition, and what makes Simon's company different?
Right.
An extension of that is I find it's part of that is that a lack of preparation. So I come in to call on you and I haven't done my homework. It kind of sends a signal. Like I know how to sell you my product. I know how to explain why my product is so great. And I've been trained in how to do that, but I've not been trained in how does a lumber dealer make money? What business is a lumber dealer in, and particularly newer, younger people, are trained in the product and trained in how to be a salesman, but they aren't trained in the world of lumber dealers. Do you see
okay.
that,
I do see where you're coming from on that. Okay. Now, right. My particular location where I am at is very old. And what I mean old, like we have homes that date back to the 1800s. Okay.
Yes.
Now that is a hugely different market from trying to sell to, say, new construction, residential, urban development areas.
Right.
The products that lumberyard has in the middle of those urban development areas doesn't look anything like mine.
Yes.
I have stuff in my lumberyard that people wouldn't even understand if they were down in say Southern California, because it's just the products are just not even used there.
Yes.
So yeah, if you have, I guess that would probably be a major misconception if it's from what you were saying, maybe somebody newer to the game, younger, coming from the city, trying to come out and sell me products, saying this stuff works really well in the city. And I'm saying, yeah, that's awesome, but I don't have a market for it. Right. Or your market may be great in the city because it's brand new and everybody's hearing about it, but it needs to be time tested because I'm also right on the beach. I get hit with hurricane force winds. And if it's not made of like plastic, stainless steel, or cement, it's going to rot.
Yes.
Right? So there's, I can't take this like, any old products around here. They have to be for the condition of the area. So yeah, not all products are going to suit all areas. And especially like, even though it's like, it seems like it should sell there, like even my location, because 50% of my sales are remodels for these old homes around here. I just may even need your product. It's just like, it's not even something that I may get a call for just once in a while. The majority of the siding I sell is fiber cement siding. So trying to get in on something that's other than that is going to be very difficult.
Yes.
As far as just like, why don't you just sell my product? It's really awesome. It's really good. Well, yeah, but it's not time tested out here. And
right.
We're like in an old school area. And so it's just like, you could really kind of have to stick with the area and what we have to sell.
Yeah. People like want to kind of settle into kind of a magic bullet universal term. So one we hear all the time is, well, distributors and dealers are really focused on turns. And so if they can't turn your inventory, every 5 days or whatever, they're not interested. But maybe in your case, maybe you have to carry some unique products because of the age of your homes that maybe don't turn as quickly, but they're essential to who makes you who you are. Is that?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Obviously, like my yard, the one that I work at, is small. We're not like huge or anything like that.
Right.
We got like 6 delivery trucks. We got, I forget, 30 employees altogether or something like that.
Yeah.
So we're not like, the big, like huge running semi-loads, like, thousands of board feet are shipping out every hour or something like that.
Right.
It's not like I'm experiencing that kind of sales.
Right.
I'm just like your average everyday lumber yard. And when I think about like the products that we have carried in the past that I thought would sell that didn't really sell very well.
Yes.
I think about like where it is that I'm located and why it didn't sell. And it's not because the product wasn't good. It's just because it's just not marketed in my area. Like the people have never heard of it. They don't trust it yet,
Well, it's
and
not,
so
it's not your job, shouldn't be your job to do that for the company.
Right.
I mean,
right. And so selling something that I have never sold before or don't have experience with doesn't go to the top of my list, of products,
Yeah. What today, I think about lumber dealers have been through a lot. The lumber dealer, there wasn't a home, years ago, there were no home centers, there were no big boxes, there were lumber dealers.
Mm-hmm.
And the lumber dealer, was an important part of the community, not only for professionals, but for homeowners. And then all of a sudden, bam, along comes home centers. Then, they get put out of business by big boxes. Then we've got online sales and all of these things. And then you've got, bigger and more sophisticated builders who are more demanding, want better terms, better prices, better service. And I just like, wow, and then lumber dealers, have been through so many recessions, but have gotten through them. In today's world, what do you think or it may be just in your case, from your lumber dealer standpoint, what are your biggest challenges that you're looking at in 2021?
I don't know if you've seen like some of the videos that I have in the back, from the past, but I worked for 2 different lumber yards that failed during 2 different recessions. And so I am really sensitive to the whole recession and shutting down of lumber yards. The first 2 lumber yards that I worked for were heavily leveraged, took out lots of loans, built equipment, or built buildings and equipment, and like really tried to expand. The one I currently work for is a mom and pop, privately owned. He owns the equipment, he owns the building, the land, everything around it. So there's very little chance of having that same fear that I had from before. But
Yes.
I guess probably like the biggest challenges that are experiencing right now, I would have to say, it's the volatility of lumber. Like trying to tell somebody, it was just like, okay, here's your price. It's today. Tell your customer that we have to move on it like in a matter of like a couple of days, or else we have to readjust this price. And the readjusted price is extreme. That's difficult to deal with. So as the prices are increasing and decreasing, either way, that to me is very challenging to make a customer or to provide a happy customer environment,
Yes.
Because the prices are, they want to know what it is. I mean, if it's expensive, that's fine. Just let them know. But then you tell them, well, it's not only expensive, it's going to be a little bit more expensive because the prices just went up and I had to order more units. that's the other thing. Is it's like when the prices are up like this, it's because of the limitation in inventory. So when, you're working with a customer, you're like, yeah, these things are really easy to get. Normally I should be able to have it on Wednesday. You call them up. No, it's not going to be this Wednesday. It's going to be next Wednesday before you get it. Well, that's new experience. So those are some of the challenges that are coming in is the supply chain breakdown, and then trying to just be like stable in your price quoting is like almost impossible when you got 200 per thousand moves in lumber in a matter of a week or two. It's very difficult to try and schedule a project that takes the course of 2 months before it actually starts, and then you realize the pricing of the lumber is just far out from what it was originally quoted.
Is that another, just a question I want to ask you, Simon, now that would, what I'm reading between the lines is 5 years ago, I had to estimate a project, and you're estimating lumber, but many other, you ideally want to sell that builder as many things for the house as he needs. So you have to it takes time to do a takeoff and figure out what he needs. And it took you amount of time to prepare a bid and get the information and so forth, talk to suppliers, find out pricing, lead times. And now the pace of that has to have just shrunk. That it's now I have to be able to do that in hours instead of days. Or am I heading down the right path there? Or?
That's ultimately it. Or at least anticipate that there's going to be some major price hikes. And so
yes.
You might be this is where, I think it's probably not so much a challenge for me because I can just warn the customer, hey, these prices are only good for so long.
Right.
I think the bigger challenge would come to the builder in dealing with us, in the sense that it was just like, how do I tell my customer what a price is, but then that's not what the price they're going to get charged? It's just like, how do you?
No, the builders have the builders that right. they're really stuck.
Right. And so my challenge comes to it too, because I really want to work with the builder. I don't want to see him lose money, and I don't want to tell him one thing. And then, so I think it's really kind of a relationship that you have to have with the builder to say, hey, don't just quote this price out to your customer today and then come back to me in 2 months. Be wary, be aware of it. And
yes,
and just, kind of go that route.
Another question I have is outside of lumber, other materials that you're sending. It seems like, we all were, on one hand, I'll say pleasantly surprised that 2020 turned out to be a pretty good year for many people in the industry, that if you talk to them back in March or April, they would have thought the world is going to come to an end. And so now what's happened is we have these, huge lead times that, maybe we used to be able to get a door in 4 weeks or 2 weeks or 6 weeks, and now it's 12 weeks or 14 or 16. Isn't that another big challenge for you?
Yeah. So going back to the windows, because that's probably the best example that I have of it. There was a time when I could order a vinyl window and have it in 10 days. That was awesome. Builders really didn't have to think much about it. It didn't set them too far back if they forgot to place the order, or, it's only that far out. It's not the end of the world. Well, that led out to 6 weeks, which, like you said, now it's an incredible challenge, because you want to do a project, or the customer wants to do the project, and you have to tell them, okay, well, you're going to have to schedule that from 2 months from now, in order to do it because of this. Or if you're a builder building a home, I remember framing homes, you would get to the point where you're about ready to start rolling trusses and you order the windows. That's when you order them, because once the trusses are rolled, then you can put the windows in. So now you have to order the windows when you start rolling out the second floor joists, or even earlier than that, maybe even when you start doing the first floor joists, depending on how fast you can frame. And then being a supplier, my job is to keep a steady flow of material going to the yard. And if I can't do that, or not to the yard, but to the job site, if I can't do that, then I'm not doing my job. That's not the builder's, the builder's job is hey, I want this material, get it to me on time. These are the things that I want. It's my job to make sure that it happens. And if I don't order the material on time to be delivered in the fashion that the builder needs it, then that's my problem, not his. And so these are some of the challenges, I guess, like you were saying, trying to deal with. The other ones were just limitation in material. Just when you call, well, for example, I tried to bring in a unit of 2x6 20 standard and better Doug fir.
Yes.
I couldn't get one. I couldn't get, like, I ordered it on Wednesday. I couldn't get it to Friday. Like I wanted it for Friday delivery and I couldn't get it that day. And I
Yes.
was just, like, that was the first time I had ever had that happen. It did come in the next Tuesday. So
Yes.
it wasn't like that far out. But it was like, you can see these hiccups and these lags. And now, thankfully, I had a unit in the yard that I was able to ship to customer. I mean, it was a few boards short of what he wanted, but no big deal. But that was like, it was too close for me to, that was too close of a call for me. Like, I mean, I almost held this guy up from being able to start his project Monday morning. And that was going to be like a big deal to him because he's going to have a whole crew of people there. That's my problem, not his. And that's some of the challenges that we are facing. It was really bad and pressure treated over the summer, but that seems to have lightened up now.
Yes.
I haven't had any issues with the pressure treated right now.
Okay. Another mistake that I see building material companies will make is they will go in and they will sell, I'll call it the boss, who could be the owner, the manager, but they sell the boss on their product. Mm-hmm. And maybe they get the boss to switch to their brand of fiber cement siding. Maybe they get the boss to add it on or whatever. And they think like, oh, I got that handled. And they don't come and talk to the salespeople. And then I'll find the salespeople will say, I know we're supposed to sell this stuff, but I haven't had good experiences with it. So I always have an excuse why we have to go back and buy from the other company. It's like, how crazy. So, if you if you got a dealer to start carrying your product and it's new, you need to take that extra step and come in and get together with the staff and say, hey, I want to educate you about this product, introduce myself, and let you know if you have any problems, here's who to call, get you guys on board. If you don't do that, and you think that, well, the boss said they're going to start selling it, that doesn't mean squat in my experience. What do you say?
I totally agree. 100%. Product knowledge is key to everything. If the salesperson doesn't understand what they are selling, there is no way they're going to convince somebody to hand over their money for it.
Right.
I mean, it just isn't going to happen. When I sell a product, I want to believe it. And when I believe in it, I can sell anything. But I truly have to understand and really feel confident behind it. A guy brought in, just for an example on this, a guy brought in some composite decking the other day and says, hey, check out this composite decking. I said, okay, good luck selling it. Nobody's ever heard of it. Right. I mean, I didn't mean to be rude. I'm saying, but if it doesn't have a particular name attached to it, people probably are not going to buy it.
Right.
And he says, but look at this great idea that it has with it. It has some green plan for it. And if you buy so much of the decking, they'll plant trees. Right. And I said, dude, that is a wonderful plan. I mean, there are so many people out there who are totally pushing for this green thing and green environment and stuff like that. I said, but nobody's ever heard of your product. I'm going to have a hard time selling.
Yes.
And I said, but I'll put it out here and I will push it. But I guarantee you, unless you are here being able to sell this product to the customer, I'm going to have a hard time doing it because I don't know anything about it and I've never sold it and I just don't know the name.
Well, there's another part I just want to interrupt you. And that is, like, I can come in and I can convince you the product is great, but don't I also have to convince you that the company that's selling you this product is behind it? So if you have an issue, we're here. It isn't just here's this product alone, but no, I'm going to sell it to you through this 2-step distributor. And this is our, we're going to come out and train guys how to install it or whatever it is. But don't you also have to have that good hands feeling about the company behind it if you're not familiar with them?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You do. Railing is a big deal right now, right? Lots of railing companies out there.
Yes.
And I've had, I don't know how many different people try and come and sell me their railing products, but one of them happened to do a really good job of coming in. He says, I tell you what, you just he had a sheet that was really simple. You just check these few boxes, draw a little description and kind of diagram of the railing system, and you fax this off to me and we'll take care of business. They made that railing sale so easy. It was like, man, I am definitely going to use this. And the other salesmen saw that as well, and they picked it up and started using that same thing just because of how simple it was to try and do the order.
Yeah.
Now, we had a little bit of issues with it. Like, hey, some parts came in, they weren't right or whatever. They were right on it. UPS, bam, next day, go to work, guys. So that little experience, it didn't take much, was enough that now all of us are like, hey, what was the name of that? railing company you're using, who was using that, who installed it, give me the contractor's number because, somebody else has a railing. It was just like pretty soon it's just, and they just stepped in. Here's our product. Look how easy it is to order it. Give us a shot. It took one order and we were all using it.
Yeah. Simon, how do you feel about if that, let's say that railing salesman said, Simon, could I go with you and call on some of your customers and introduce our railing to them, like joint calls?
Yeah.
You welcome that? Do you not want it?
I personally do. Now, now there was a time, like I've worked for several different lumber yards. I am not in the position at this particular lumber yard where I have stepped up into like that kind of realm of taking them out to work in the field.
Yeah.
I try and stick more to the retail and the small light end commercial, like sales kind of stuff. Like I don't go into like doing the whole house packages and stuff like that. We got other guys who are handling those kind of things.
Yeah.
And it's not because I can't do those. It's just that I find it more comfortable and where I'm at the store to be in the position that I am at. I mean, I love the job I have. I love the position that I hold. When the time comes that, the guys are like, hey, can you handle, figuring out some siding for this house, whatever, I'm totally into it. Like I can do anything there.
Right. Sure.
So, but yeah, when it comes to like, say taking, a salesman out to go out into the field, I personally don't do that. But if I did, I would love for that. I love taking a salesman out and here, go sell your product and let me make the money off of it. Hell yeah. I am all about that. Yeah.
Okay. Now, another one is just like three final questions. One is I've seen some companies that, they'll come in and let's say I sell something that has a bunch of small parts and pieces. You're going to convert to me from the competition. So they'll come in and say, okay, we'll buy your inventory and replace it with ours. Right. But then I've seen companies also, smart ones, I think, come in that situation and say, hey, once a year, let's go look at your inventory. Okay. What in here of our products is not moving? Okay. Let me help you get rid of it. Whether it's like we find a way to, give you a little bit of money so you can put it on a real deep discount and sell it, or maybe I buy it back from you, but they're interested in helping you. Like they didn't say, well, I sold this guy a case of this a year ago and it's still sitting there. It's got dust on it. That's not a good thing.
Right.
And smart people are aware of things like that and try to help the builder, the dealer. Is that make sense to you, or is that a good idea?
Yeah, because like, okay, so we have, regular vendors coming in, check our inventory, bring us lists of stuff that they see that we may need stock on, kind of help us out as far as, because, the yard's huge. You don't see everything. And, our computer system keeps track of inventory, but things happen where, you miss stuff or things, accidents, occur.
Right.
So vendors are always there trying to sell you products and trying to fill up your inventory. It's like, hey, it looks like you need some of this, that, and the other thing.
Right.
The good vendors, I'm the first thing, and I hate to say it, but they come in with donuts, smiling. Hey, how's everybody's morning?
Yep.
Talk to everybody. For example, how one had handled our moldings and our cedar. He would go down there, straighten up all the bins, pull the moldings that were in the wrong bins, put them over in the right bins, pull out all the shorts and damaged stuff and buy it back. Say, hey, I'm giving you credit on all this damaged stuff that you don't need anymore. It doesn't, like to him, this is to write off, no big deal. Cleans up the aisles, make them look brand new. Here's the list of materials. Is there anything else I can do for you guys? Man, what a great vendor.
Well, a competitor come in and said, hey, I'm 20% less than that guy. You're probably going to go, so.
That's exactly right. It was just like, but do you come clean up my bins and buy my back stock and, make me feel like, I'm special,
Yeah.
Together, it's like it's worth the extra few dollars.
Right. Yeah. You mentioned you have 6 delivery trucks. I'm seeing where more and more builders are sitting there saying, I want to build the house faster. And so I want to be even more just in time. And so, and so are you finding that delivery is more important as a way to differentiate yourself?
Yes. Time is money.
Okay.
Time is money, and it doesn't matter if the price is, cheaper someplace else. If it takes all day for you to get that material and you're paying guys to stand and not do anything, time is money.
Yes.
And at some point, it doesn't matter how much the material costs, because you can already see you can fight for an extra 50 cents off your 2x4. But at this point, it doesn't really matter when they're at $7.50. So the relationship with that lumber yard and timing of getting the material, that steady flow of material to the job when it's needed, is critical, especially in, the tough margins that we have right now, where there is no room for error or time delays.
Yeah.
So and the other thing is like, I think probably, like, for me, I want to have a good relationship with my customers, with the builders, because I don't want them like shopping other places. And in the same turn, like, those guys, they want to have a good relationship with me, because if they ever come across a situation where they're looking for a difficult product to find, we're way out here on the coast. Like, you don't want to drive 2 hours to go pick up a $50 item.
Right.
So like, having a good relationship with, your lumber yard, who can get these products that nobody else has in the county, you don't want to, you want that guy to care about you, and if you like treat them like a jerk, they may not go and find those products for you to say, hey, we can't get it. Sorry. And now you're in a scramble trying to find it. And then you would be willing to pay $300 for it so you could just get the job done,
Yeah. But
That's
even with
where,
I ask you a question about the trucks again. So it seemed like, 30 people, I don't know. I'm like, wow, 6 trucks. That sounds like a lot. Maybe not. And so even with 6 trucks, is that enough? Or are there days where you find like, well, I just can't, get every delivery done, or somebody forgot one thing, like, gee, I need a box of nails or whatever, how does that work?
There's times, because just like everything, there's waves of orders where every sudden everybody's just doing something at the same time. And then there's other times where it seems like, Jesus, we got 6 trucks and 5 of them apart, It happens. It's just,
does it also tend to be like all 6 trucks are busy at 7:30 in the morning, and then like as the day goes on, they're less busy?
Well, there's never all 6 trucks gone at the same time, because we don't have 6 drivers. What we do is we rotate. So the driver is basically in the hot seat. So as soon as he comes in, he's hopping from one truck to another, and that one's already loaded, ready to go. So it's like a rotation of vehicles. They're different sizes.
Okay.
Right. They're different sizes. So we have 2 giant trucks, 2 medium trucks, 2 little trucks. So depending on what the order is to deliver.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes, like, you guys forgot the box of nails. Well, we have a little S10 pickup. Go run that box of nails up the roof. I mean, it is. Like,
yes.
You don't take big stuff. So there's like, it depends on what's going on that particular day.
Okay.
When it comes to like the bigger house packages, those aren't like scrambles. Those aren't like, those things you usually have planned out in advance. It's going to be delivered out onto you Monday morning. Everybody knows about it weeks in advance.
Okay.
Where the problem comes in is the person who, like, say the contractor who gets a bid over the weekend comes in on Tuesday, says, deliver this out to me Thursday. And you're like, well, had you told me Monday, I could have ordered the pressure treated for Tuesday and then had it delivered out to you on the day that you want. But now you have to wait till Friday. And since we're waiting till Friday to get it in, you're not going to get the delivery Friday. You're going to have to wait till Monday. He's a week out. He's mad.
Yes.
You're right. Okay. And so that's like, oops, that's when it turned into a panic, because now all of a sudden this guy's livelihood is on the line. He had this deck package he was planning on working on and making money so he could feed his family. And he's really upset with us because we can't deliver. Like, dude, if you just had told us yesterday,
Yeah. Hey, I want
those things happen.
Yeah, no, this has been great. I got one last question I just want to ask you, and that is from your customer standpoint. I'm going to just list a number of subjects, and I'd like your thought on what subject you notice is important to them today. Right. Okay. And so like one could be simply like made in USA. Another could be lowest cost. Another could be energy saving. It could be moisture problems. It could be healthy. It could be lead times, or many other things. What have you noticed? Like, I'm just going to say that in the last year or so that you've noticed, this is what customers are asking about, are interested in, that maybe hasn't been as important in the past, or maybe it's always been and it's still important.
Okay. Definitely the one from the retail end that I hear a lot about is it made in America? Is it made in the United States? That is, I mean, I hear it a lot. And I've seen more people like flip over the package to see where it's made, not even say anything, but just look, and you can tell that's what they're doing,
Yes.
I see that happening a lot more. Now, that's from the customer pulling cash out of their pocket. The builder, that not so much. Like, I don't really think they care,
Okay, right.
Lead times seem to be the most concerning thing that I find coming from the builders right now. Is it's trying to make sure that the material is going to be there when they say it's going to be there. And after that, like, price is probably the next most concerning. And then, after that, I guess you could, like, a few customers would be concerned about, like, green products and different things like that. But that's more about their customers being concerned about it, not necessarily.
Okay. Excellent. Hey, so anyway, I really appreciate your time. And I want to recommend everybody that's listening to this, go on YouTube, put in the Uneducated Economist, and check out Simon's content. I find it to be very helpful. Simon, what are other ways that people can follow you or connect with you, or what's the best way they should be more aware of you?
Well, I have all the social medias, Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, stuff like that. But ultimately, I'm on YouTube. That's where I'm most active at. If you want to send me an email, I have uneducatedeconomist@gmail.com. That's a way to get a hold of me. But I'm pretty much active on YouTube. That's where I'm at. And if you want to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me through email.
Okay. Well, thanks again. It's really been a pleasure to get to talk to you. And please keep up the great work that you are on YouTube. It's just another, I always like to look at a problem from different angles, not like there's one expert that has the solution. And, you certainly provide a great viewpoint of the world of the lumber dealer.
Well, I certainly appreciate the call, man, and having the conversation with me.
All right. Well, you take care, Simon, and have a great weekend. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And till next time, this is Mark Mitchell from Wizard Strategy.
Thank you for listening to this podcast from Mark Mitchell on building materials, sales, and marketing. We hope he gave you some fresh perspectives on how to grow your sales, and will listen to future episodes.